Why hello, Blair here of Chaos Costumes to teach you more about Nomad. Today is project day, yay! I don't know, I love making these little projects, so if you would like to join me and learn a little bit on the way, without further ado, let's go.
So last week I taught you how to make these really awesome stamps in Nomad and Nomad alone. But this week we are actually going to make something. So I have matcap turned on and I actually really like the way it looks. But we are going to make mushroom shelves this week because why not? So I don't actually like this material in matcap. So I go in and change it to this Kaneki blue, whatever. But that one, I like the way this one looks. Allegedly, you can make your own matcaps, which is pretty sweet. But in order to start out this sculpture, I'm actually going to turn on the radial symmetry for the first time ever. And I tried toggling the X and the Z symmetry, but turns out you don't need that. But if you move stuff around with the radial symmetry, looks pretty good, minus this bean shaped caused by my desire to have Z and X turned on, so let's turn that off. And now we can push stuff around radially, which is pretty sweet. But I'm just using the origin sphere, yes, the origin sphere, and push and pulling that around, making a little mushroom shape. I contemplated making them concave, but it wouldn't hold anything, so convex it is. Just pushing and pulling it around as I need to. I'll just smooth out all these lumps that I made. And I really want this to curve down, so I'm going to go in with the brush tool and just kind of carve that out a little more. Then I can go back in with the smooth tool and just smooth it out. And go a little bit back and forth till I get the shape that I want. I can go in with the crease tool, kind of get this lip to be a little sharper. It really does not have to be perfect since we're making an organic shape. And I'll push in this little tip a little bit. Now that I'm happy with the base shape, we can add tubes. And I have snapping turned on doing this. And my offset is set to 0%. Like it always is. Just drawing a little tube. And since I have snapping turned on, it snapped to the shape. And I can get rid of these extra little nodes. I'm actually going to change the radius so it's a little narrower. And then I can toggle the radius a couple times and taper off these tips. And maybe make it variable along the length of it. And then next up I'll go in with the profile and make these fins a little bit more fin-like. I'm just looking for them to be a little bit more exaggerated. And I'm noticing I should have modified a different side, but that's okay. This is why we have the twist function, and I'll just twist that around. Now that I have a tube I like, I'll increase the division, make it a little smoother. I can add a radial repeater to this bad boy. And along the y-axis, I can just add more. And noticing that this little bit isn't sharp enough, so let's just tuck that in a little bit, pull it out a smidge. Now I have this like vaguely mushroom thing, and you can finish off with that, but to me it's a little too consistent. Oh, haha. Close up this bottom little booty hole here. And now that I'm happy with that, I can validate that tube, and I'll join the tube and radial repeater. And it is at 1.43 million, so I would highly recommend you decimating it. And let's save this out of prosperity. And I will voxel remesh those two shapes together so I can start sculpting on top of them. I'm going to keep sharp edges and do it at a pretty high resolution. And it gets a little weird down here, but we're just going and using it as a basic shape to sculpt on top of, so we don't have to do it from scratch. We'll just smooth it out with the brush tool, just kind of start carving. But I don't like how many lines it's making, so let's turn down the radial symmetry a bit. You know, it doesn't look great, but it makes what you're doing a little bit more natural to like make a primitive and get the base structure down and then add stuff on top. So like I'm smoothing and using the brush tool to build out and maybe decimating it a little more so it's not as laggy. The radial symmetry really drags down the performance a bit. I can draw without it lagging as bad. Going back and forth, smoothing and brushing. Sky's the limit. I'm like staring at this so much that it's like doing this weird optical illusion where it's like rippling. Maybe I should get my eyes checked out. This little crease is bothering me, so I'm just gonna go in with the flatten and the fill and just kind of fill this in a bit. I want this to look a little bit more elegant, so I'll push this around a little bit. Now that I'm pretty happy with this, I'm going to set the radial symmetry back to 1. Start making organic waves along this top lip here, just with the move tool, just pushing and pulling. Now I can start chopping away little pie slices out of here with the trim tool, just to really hammer home that organic texture. If you're having trouble with the trim tool trimming, try to zoom in and do the same thing. I don't know, for some reason it calculates it better. I'll smooth that out a little bit so it's not as harsh. And I want to make these a little deeper, so I'll do the move tool a smidge, but not too much. And to add a little bit of texture on here, I'm actually going to go in with a rock texture that I peeled off from Procreate, as seen in this tutorial. And not do it that intensely. Let's fix that. So first I'll go in with the filter and do front-facing vertex only. That'll help. And then turn down the intensity a lot. Now I can stamp without it getting crazy. And actually, I want this subtracted. There we go. That's better. Just adding a little bit of texture to this mushroom so it's not just completely smooth. And the backside doesn't matter because we're chopping it off. And the stamp still caught some of these edges, but that's okay. It's because we're just going to add more texture. This little shrinker down here, that's not ideal. Let's try to push that in a little bit. This top edge, I want to smooth down the texture a little bit and smooth out underneath here a little bit. Now I can look at it from the right and trim out the back with the rectangle tool. I don't have to trim it perfectly in half, I just want a flat back. I can go in and let's make keyhole things. So I added a cylinder at first, and I'll hide the mushroom for now. And the cylinder will have one radius controlled and make that 4 millimeters radius. And so we're making dimensionally accurate shit in Nomad. And then we'll make this 2 millimeters high. And then I'll add another cylinder. Hit solo so I can see that little guy. Do the same thing, but this one will be 2 millimeters radius and 2 millimeters high. Not 4, silly Blair. 2. There we go. I'm just chopping the nodes to be able to control that. So I'm gonna move the cylinder off to the side a little bit. So when I show the bigger cylinder, I'm able to see what I'm working with. And I want to drag this out, I don't know, a reasonable amount. And I'll turn up the division and validate it. Then go in with the select mask in the rectangle, select one half of it, and then invert that mask. And then we got a piece that we can push around and join to this other piece to begin to build out the keyhole. And since that mask is gradiented, then I can drag that out almost like a diagonal. Because if you look at most keyholes in like the furniture, power strips or whatever that you have, they are tapered a bit. So I wanted to do that. So now that I have that, I'm going to duplicate this cylinder, the first one, the big one, and make this 3 millimeters high. And then push it up by tapping that triangle, little arrow guy, by 2 millimeters so it is dimensionally accurate-ish. Increase the division, and do that same thing with the rectangle. I'll just invert that mask and pull it out. Now we have like a Boolean tool, right? I just want to make sure the screw head can like hide in that little recess there that we're going to make. Now we can take all of it, and I just use the select tool and remesh it together, making sure sharp edges are enabled. If you just Boolean it together or join it together, it's silly, and I just realized that I didn't increase the division of that cylinder, so let's try that again. Now we're cooking with fire. Now I can remesh these things together and they're nice and smooth. And I can remove the mask so you can see it all in its tool glory. So now let's look at our itty bitty mushroom, and it's tiny. I'll have to make that bigger. So I'm just gonna make it bigger by 100 units, and now I can see it. And I'll take the Boolean tool that I just made and rotate it by 90 degrees. pull it out. And I'll make this a little bigger, push this off to the side a bit, so I can look at it closely with the X-ray tool. Realize it's backwards and push it around. So it's nicely seated into that mushroom. I want to make sure that there's enough clearance back here so that it prints out a little lip for the screw head to catch onto. Now what I'll do is add a mirror modifier to that guy, so they're perfectly centered and matching. I'll just combine those guys so that they're one piece. Now I can start getting creative with this mushroom guy. I'll just clone him down, resize him, and push it around so it's more organic looking. But I'm realizing that I did not fix the pivot point when I was doing that, so let's do that. So I'm just going to push the pivot to the back of this model. I love to make it perfect, but this will help a lot. Now I can clone the shapes down, and they will be along the same plane when I go and resize them. Now you can see on the back side, they kind of line up a lot better. I can go in and make more shelves, because why not? So they'll be like this guy, and I'll make them a little smooshier. And then this guy, and he'll be a little double mushroom dude. So now that I have multiple shelves going on for me, I'm going to duplicate the Boolean tool that we made too. And the reason why I didn't clone both of them together and combine them is because since I resized the mushrooms, it would have resized the screw holes that we have so carefully designed. I want one more little shelf, because why not? There's a whittle guy. I'll take these little screw hole things. I'll separate them, actually, so I can get them to fit. I'll just do the same thing of mirroring them so I can push them around properly. Because I'm sure one point of attachment would probably work, but I'm afraid that it would twist. So it turns out I grabbed something I wasn't supposed to, so let's clone that back down here and fix the problem that I created for myself. I'll just go ahead and join the mirror I just made and start booleaning out things, but guess who doesn't know what's what? It's me. So I'm going to join all those mushrooms with the Boolean tool. This double guy, I'll join with the Boolean. And watch me try to figure out what is what. Like, okay, it's this one, and then look at that. Like, okay, it's that one. And then it's this one. And then it's that one. Literally, I'm like, but I don't want to name anything, so, I don't know what I'm doing, thinking that I could figure it out. So, I just used the select tool, looked at it, and then, hid what I wanted to Boolean. You have to deselect stuff to hide it individually. And wow, I have both things selected, finally. Now I can Boolean the, keyhole slots out. Wasn't that fun? This is why you name your layers, but I won't. Doesn't bring me any dopamine, not gonna name my layers. Sorry. Now that I have a game plan, finally scooching this over and making it centered. Now I can select those two things. Deselect the thingy, and hide, and reselect it, and Boolean that out. Oh, I have 2 keyhole slots. Also, I don't know why people make the mistake to do this, but they put the big side on top and then like shelves off the wall. That's funny. Let's take these 2 objects, do that same thing again, and Boolean out the keyholes. I'm doing this like I'm an engineer or something. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? We made a thing! Wow!
Wow.
But now I'm realizing they're a little too consistent, so I'm gonna go in with the move tool and fix that, I guess. Turn off that dang symmetry. I love the symmetry tool. I absolutely love it, adore it, but this does not need it. Now we can go in and decimate these big chunk of shapes, so they're not enormous file sizes. And now we can finally name our layers. I'm just gonna name them mushroom 1 through 4. Also, can you tell that I updated my iPad in between doing things because the UI looks completely different? Yeah, that was fun. Now we can save each one of these shelves individually as an STL and export them. So let's slice this bad boy. So we're just gonna import all 4 of these things. I'm gonna select no, because I want them to be stacked on top of each other like this. And I'll take all of them and I'll just rotate them so they're facing the build plate like this. Now I can take them as individuals, and it looks like the ones I glued together need to be repaired for sure. I'll just scooch that up there. I'll repair that guy. And I was hoping I could fit him on the build plate, and I might have, but not when I have 4 shelves. So I'll just add a plate and put him over there. It looks like pretty much everything needs to be repaired, so I'll do that. And this last little guy, repair him. This mostly happens when you like Boolean things out or together. It's hard to avoid. Even when I do everything in my power to make sure everything's perfect, it still does it. I don't know what to do to change that other than repairing it with the slicer. Now that I got it all staged nicely, what I can do is make sure the seams are random. For the strength, I want to make sure it is lightning. You could have better supports when you print it, but I just want to print it and make sure it works. And then for the others, since I have these corners here, I'd probably want to add a mouse ear, but since Bamboo Slicer doesn't have that, I'll just add an outer brim. And it looks like it's kind of hovering on the backside here, so I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to take it down a hair on the Z-axis. Now I shouldn't have problems with it hovering and creating adhesion problems. That happened mostly because I didn't line it up absolutely perfectly when I resized things. And with this guy, seems like he's printing perfectly, so I'm not going to mess with him. And now we can print this stuff.
I love high fantasy. Honestly, high fantasy is my jam, so I had to make it. And they're really easy to hang up. I hope that you guys decorate your spaces with, well, mushroom shelves or anything for that matter, now that you know how. But if you have any ideas or want to learn something specific, leave a comment down below. If you like what I do, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Every little bit counts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.